I have been working on the India-Pakistan relations for almost a decade plus now. I'm a frequent visitor to Pakistan, which is quite anti-national these days. But I'm a firm believer that if you have to take your work seriously, then you go to do the required field work, and that's what takes me to Kashmir and Pakistan and the Pakistani side of Kashmir quite often. So what I will basically do today is to sort of, in a nutshell, beginning with some data on ceasefire violations, on escalation, on terrorist violence, etc., etc. And then sort of talk a little bit about Prime Minister Narendra Modi's Pakistan policy, where he got it right, where he got it wrong, and why he got it wrong, etc. And my prognosis for what is probably likely to happen in the days to come. So that I think should be over in about 15 minutes or so. Thereafter, I guess we can jump into a sort of conversation. And I think it is important to put the data on the table because we often talk without facts and without figures. So I will give you some data on infiltration of militants slash terrorists from the Pakistani side of the JMK to Indian side of Jammu and Kashmir, and on ceasefire violations and Kashmiri youth joining militancy, and the attacks and killings in Jammu and Kashmir. So in 2014, the year Prime Minister Narendra Modi took power in Delhi, you had about 65 terrorist infiltrations into Jammu and Kashmir. In 2016, that 65 became 119. In 2017, last year, it became 123. So it almost doubled, or more than doubled, in the last 4 years of infiltration of terrorists into Jammu and Kashmir. Ceasefire violations. India reported, for example, almost 450 ceasefire violations by the Pakistanis in 2016 and 971 in 2017, whereas Pakistanis reported about 832 violations in 2016, and it became 1,970 in 2017. Now, in other words, the ceasefire violations have also increased in the last 4 years. And when you hear a number like 1,970, you might think, what's the big deal about that? You're talking about a boundary that is close to 2,000 kilometers. 2,000 kilometers, close to 1 million troops facing off each other. What is 190? What is 1,970 violations? I'll tell you why it is important to look at that number very carefully. One ceasefire violations could mean 200,000 gunshots or artillery shots, 200,000 artillery shots in an area of 40 kilometers in 24 hours. So that's a hell of a lot of fire you're talking about. Into 2,000, you're talking about tens of hundreds of thousands of shots being fired in a year. And then lives lost of military men, of villagers. I've been to both sides of the line of control. I've seen how villagers suffer in this sort of violence. You also have Kashmiri boys joining militancy. The militancy that started in 1987-88 period, picked up in the early 1990s, sort of died down in the late 1990s. Today has started picking up again. I'll give you this data. In 2013, 1 year before the BJP government came to power, those joining militancy was just 16, 1/6. In 2017, that is last year, it went up to 126. So from 16, it went up to 126. Now, just the other day, you had Ravi Shankar Prasad, the Union Minister, giving a press conference in which he said that we have killed a lot more terrorists in Jammu and Kashmir than the UPA government under Prime Minister Manmohan Singh. He's correct. But the reality is that to kill more terrorists, you have to have more terrorists, right? So you have been able to kill more terrorists simply because there have been more terrorists. Let me give you this example. In 2013, the terrorist incidents in Jammu and Kashmir were 170. In 2017, last year, it went up to 342. So incidents themselves. Civilians killed in 2013 you had 15, last year you had 40. Security forces in 2013 it was 53, last year it was 80. So yes, you have killed more terrorists, but you also have killed more civilians, you also have killed many of your own uniformed men, and there have been more attacks in Jammu and Kashmir. So the simple point that I'm trying to make is that it is very important to take a look at the fine print of the data to make sense of what is happening. Because an argument like we've killed more terrorists than Manmohan Singh's government did not sounds interesting, sounds like a fine argument, but the reality, the truth lies elsewhere. So you have had in the last couple of months, you had two ceasefires. You had the reinstatement of the 2003 ceasefire agreement between the two armies, the Indian Army and the Pakistan Army, that they will not fire at each other along the line of control in Kashmir and the international border in Jammu. It was a reiteration of the 2003 agreement, but that reiteration has also now collapsed in the last 1 month, which means the external ceasefire with Pakistan has grossly collapsed in the last 1 month. The internal ceasefire, that the Indian armed forces will not carry out proactive operations against militants in Jammu and Kashmir during the month of Ramzan, has also now been called off after the Eid just a few days ago, which means that you were probably trying to look forward to building on the two ceasefires, the external ceasefire and the internal ceasefire, in order to build a certain relationship between Pakistan and to bring about a certain amount of stability in Jammu and Kashmir for the PDP-BJP government. Now, I actually wrote about it. I said, but this is a fantastic move that the government has made certain political concessions, certain reconciliatory moves, etc., etc. But within a week's time, I was proven wrong. The government, BJP government, pulled its support for the PDP-BJP coalition in Jammu and Kashmir, and now we have the governor's rule in the state. And so you're looking at a situation where both the internal and external ceasefire have collapsed in a rather unceremonious manner. So with that, let me sort of start off by talking about what I think was or has been Prime Minister Modi's Pakistan policy. And I think as a political analyst, I give credit where it is due, and I think he started off quite well. For example, we had the swearing-in ceremony in 2014 May when he invited Nawaz Sharif to the swearing-in. He did make this visit to Pakistan in December 2015, the sort of impromptu visit on his way back from Kabul. I think that was again, several people disagreed with the BJP's policy at that point of time. I thought that was a fantastic move. Modi's sort of given two dramatic outcomes. I said, well, fine, I mean, that's how statesmen are. So I encourage that, and a lot of people did encourage that. And I think here also Modi did quite well by reaching out to the Pakistani side. And then we had the January 2016 Pathankot attack. Even thereafter, the conversations between the two national security advisors continued uninterrupted, and the Pakistani investigation team was invited to a sensitive place like the Pathankot Air Base in order to take stock of, collect evidence apparently. So I think he did have certain fine intentions in sort of spearheading a sensible policy vis-a-vis Pakistan. But I think, and the Pakistani collaboration was suspect during all these years, and I tell you why. The infiltration, the data that just spread out a few minutes ago, the infiltration continued in the Jammu and Kashmir unabated. Of course, if you ask the Pakistanis, they will say that these are freedom fighters, we have nothing to do with all this. I think the crucial mistake made by the Pakistani side was that they did not give a return invitation for the visit of the National Investigation Team into Islamabad. because the understanding was that, the verbal understanding was that we invite the Pakistani team to Pathankot and they invite the Indian team to Islamabad, the NIA team. That never happened. I think things started going wrong thereafter because the opposition started lambasting the Modi government for you did not get anything in response, etc., etc. And I did ask several Pakistani tracking interlocutors as to why this did not happen. No one seems to have an idea, and my belief is that the Pakistani military may have pulled the plug on that. They may have said that we are not interested in sort of getting the Indian team to Islamabad. The terror attacks in Jammu and Kashmir also continued all these years. If you actually look at I just gave you the data on terror attacks. Through these years, the infiltration continued, the ceasefire violations continued, and post Burhan Wani, and Burhan Wani was killed, as we know, in July 2016 in Jammu and Kashmir. So post Burhan Wani, there was this feeling in Islamabad, or rather, I would say Rawalpindi, the GHQ, the general headquarters of the Pakistan Army, where I happened to be a few months ago. But I think they looked at Kashmir and said, hey, here is a ripe fruit. Kashmir is now going to fall into our lap, and therefore we must take advantage of it. I think there was a strong feeling in Rawalpindi at that point of time. So the point that I'm trying to make simply is that Modi government did reach out to the Pakistani side. There was a certain genuineness that was shown by the Modi government, but the Pakistani side did not reciprocate in sort of letter and spirit, and that sort of created a great deal of that sort of has reached as where we are today, as far as India-Pakistan relations is concerned. Now that's the obvious picture. But if you ask me why did the Modi rapprochement, desire for rapprochement with Pakistan, Nawaz Sharif, did not go as planned, I have several explanations. And as a political analyst, I would say this was probably not a very thought out policy. With Pakistan, we've had a 70-year-old relationship with this country. It's a puzzle. It's a huge puzzle. You are not you can't sort of engage the Pakistanis on one fine day and believe that there is going to be a spectacular outcome. That's not how, in my opinion, statecraft functions. You need to have a lot more patient diplomacy, and you can't really expect spectacular and dramatic outcomes. And I think enough homework was probably not done. You have a certain dispensation in Delhi, including the NSA, the then Foreign Secretary, the Prime Minister, and I don't think they sat down together and did enough spade work on what are the likely outcomes of a policy of this kind, what is our plan B, etc. I don't think that sort of went into the sort of planning of this policy towards Pakistan. Number two, I think Modi government is also very wary of the domestic political implications of its Pakistan policy in general and Kashmir policy in particular. So whenever they propose, whenever they do something vis-a-vis Pakistan, they're always looking over their shoulders. What are the implications of this Pakistan policy domestically from an electoral point of view? So it's not foreign policy for foreign policy. It is foreign policy for domestic gains. I don't fault Modi for that. That's how leaders behave. But from an analytical point of view, it is important to recognize that. And I think if I sort of compare Mr. Manmohan Singh's policy vis-a-vis Pakistan and Mr. Modi's foreign policy with Pakistan, I think this is something that stands out very clearly, that there is a certain electoral calculation that sort of goes in the mind of the party apparatus in sort of Delhi. And I think more importantly, there was also an unwillingness, and this is not Modi's fault. This has been the fault of, I sort of use that word very carefully, fault, of the Indian establishment for a very long time. And that is, you are unwilling to reach out to the Pakistan army. Every day we hear this familiar phrase in Delhi that it is Rawalpindi that decides. It is the ISI, it is the Pakistan army that decides Pakistan's India policy. And therefore, there is only so much you can achieve with Islamabad, with the political civilian dispensation in Islamabad? If so, what is the logical answer to that kind of an argument? The logical argument then should be that, hey, reach out to the Pakistan Army. If you think the Pakistan Army, every other leader calls on the Pakistan Army. John Kerry comes to Pakistan, he calls on the Pakistani Army chief. The newly inaugurated Afghan president came to Pakistan, he called on the Army chief. And I'm not saying that Mr. Modi should go to Rawalpindi and meet the Army chief. I'm simply trying to say that open channels. Open channels that are probably really high up in the hierarchy. Maybe the Foreign Secretary, maybe the NSA, maybe someone with a message from the Prime Minister should have reached out to the Pakistani army leadership. And I'm saying this also because in several track 2 sort of circles, the retired Pakistani officials, including the former Chief of General Staff and Corps Commanders, have made this argument since 2014 that Bajwa and his predecessor are very clear about the need for a rapprochement with India. And the recent Bajwa doctrine, if you take it for what it is, from a literal point of view, talks about the need for reaching out to India. So if there is even a semblance of aptitude and desire for stability with India in Pakistan Army, make use of it. So I think we have not sort of risen up to that. The familiar argument in India is that civilian government is what we deal with. And the counter question is that you did deal with the Musharraf government in Pakistan. It's not our job to see, my opinion, as to who rules Pakistan. It's their job to decide who they are ruled by. Our job is to deal with whoever is in power. And if there are two centers of power, deal with two centers of power. It's not a typical Westphalian state. It's a complicated state. So you need to have a positively complicated strategy in order to deal with this kind of a country, as it were. And I think finally, I would say where the policy of rapprochement probably went astray is also because of the interlinkage between what happens in Kashmir and its implications for India's Pakistan policy. The India-Pakistan policy cannot be divorced from what happens in Kashmir. There's an indisputable linkage between the two. So for the Modi government, it was important to somehow use a muscular policy towards Kashmir, and that had implications for India-Pakistan relations. You can't up the ante in Kashmir and lower the ante with Pakistan. It doesn't work that way, because when the Pakistanis look at the situation in Kashmir, they are seeing a ripe fruit ready to be plucked. So go pluck it. That's their sort of logic. That's the logic they've been sort of trained themselves for a very long time. So I think this interlinkage also played spoil sport with India's Pakistan policy. Despite the overtures in the recent past, things have not improved at all. We've had the issue of the harassment of Indian and Pakistani diplomats. Not that it is anything new, it has been happening for a very long time. But it has happened again. The Indian diplomat getting harassed in Islamabad, Pakistani diplomat getting harassed in New Delhi. Fortunately, that may have receded thanks to the intervention by the Foreign Secretary, the new Foreign Secretary, and the Pakistanis and the Indian High Commission to Pakistan, Mr. Bisaria. He reached out to the Pakistani High Commission who was in Delhi, was called back to Islamabad. They had a conversation, etc. So things seem to have been worked out on that front. But I heard some news the other day in Times of India that the issue of harassment of diplomats has probably come back to haunt us again. The national security advisors are talking to each other. They met in December last year in Bangkok, and yet things have not cooled down. As I explained in the beginning, the ceasefire violations and infiltration and young boys joining militancy are all sort of spiking and worryingly so. The internal ceasefire has now collapsed, and there's a governor's rule, and the muscular policy is only going to be far more evident in the days to come. So, with the form of the J&K government, you are not looking at least I'm not looking at any peace process between New Delhi and the dissidents in Srinagar, forget about a peace process between India and Pakistan, unless and until, quote unquote, you can potentially expect a spectacular outcome, maybe via the future Prime Minister in waiting, Shahbaz Sharif, or someone reaches out to the dispensation in Delhi and says, all right, we can do business with each other. But things are also chaotic and sort of fuzzy in Pakistan. They are heading into elections next month. The army is tightly in control, despite being not being in power in Islamabad. So things are in a sort of flux there as well. So, and as the election season heats up, we are looking at more infiltration and more violence in Jammu and Kashmir, and that will have domestic political implications in India. So all in all, I think there is only going to be a lot more polarization in Jammu and Kashmir, and a lot more sort of violence, war of words between India and Pakistan. And I hope it does not lead to what we witnessed in September 2016, the so-called surgical strikes. Because I believe that from a tactical point of view, surgical strikes was a bad idea, because it only led up to a lot more killings and bloodshed. But from a strategic point of view, it may have hold, and I stand corrected on that, because that was not my argument earlier on. From a strategic point of view, it may be that surgical strikes of 2016 September has called the nuclear bluff that Pakistan has been threatening India with for a very long time. So I think I've taken more than 10 minutes as promised. That's what professors do. So I leave it at that. I hope we can continue this conversation. Thank you.